Hey, what's going on, guys? Coming again here. Yet another update on BBC Chess Engine development progress. So, sorry, guys. Like I was trying to avoid implementing 50 rule move because I thought like it's not really that necessarily needed. And before I have embedded an NNUE into my chess engine, it was actually playing fine without 50 rule draw move, 50 rule move draw recognition basically. But after I've embedded this new fancy Stockfish NNUE, I've started getting horrible results. And remember, like a couple of videos ago, I was mentioning that I'm switching from. I can't even call that a hybrid evaluation, what I had in my engine, because it was just really weird stuff that didn't work properly and starting giving pieces away from time to time. But anyway, that version that involved some handcrafted evaluation from my engine actually managed to beat Vice quite pretty crushingly. It's for about 12 and a half versus 2.5 or something like that. I'm not sure. There are some PGNs in BBC's repo to have a look at. But when I switched to pure NNE, the performance dropped significantly, and it was maybe not about equal, but maybe just slightly better, because the most of the games were actually either lost on time. By the way, I renewed my logic of time handling a little bit. So I'll show you just right in show this just right in a moment to give you an idea. And on the other hand, there were many drawn games due to the 50 rule move issue. So it was like I had a queen king versus king endgame, and still my engine didn't manage to mate with king and king using the pure NNUE evaluation. You might wonder, like, what the hell is that, and why is that actually possible? So in this video, I will try to understand. I will try to explain why exactly that was happening and what particular solution I came up with so far, which actually resulted incredible match. Like with the newest fixes, I just finished the match with like BBC 1.3 plus Stockfish NNUE versus Vice 1.0, and the result was 9.5 versus 0.5 points. And the only draw was actually stalemate. So I didn't yet watch that game, but I assume that might be another nasty bug in my engine. So it wasn't a draw on threefold repetition. So it wasn't a positional draw. It was just, most likely it was some sort of a bug. We'll check this in this video as well, by the way. So let's actually start by looking at timing stuff. So within the parse go command, I've switched time in the following way. So now it looks like this. So if time is less than 0, so when this condition might happen. So I've restored this, how to call it, basically, like lag compensation. So if you don't do this, your engine would start just losing on time, because the time of interaction, when kind of GUI interacts with your engine, it takes some miserable time, but still that's enough to actually lose on time. So this minus equals 50 gives a little buffer for your engine to avoid actually losing. I was using this, then I was using it optionally, then I would run many things, and they all were quite pretty weird, what I came up with so far. So I'm doing now this like every time, but if we have time is less than 0, that means that after this negation we hit a negative time, which means that we're kind of almost have our time kind of up. So what we're doing in this case, we're setting time back to 0, because otherwise it would just it won't ever output the move, because the stop time would be less than start time, hence the condition of time is up would never be fired ever. So restoring time back to 0, and then if we have some sort of of an increment, well, if we don't, then we just trying to calculate as fast as possible. But if we have some sort of a increment, we now using this buffer for the increment itself. This is needed in order to avoid losing games like I don't know, some minutes plus say 1 second increments. So this sort of stuff gives 950 milliseconds instead of 1000 milliseconds, and eventually this allows engine to play without losing on time, which is good idea as well. Another thing, timing for, okay, what is this? I already forgot this, sorry guys. Timing for 0 second left and no increment. Oh, okay, so another case that we might have encountered, that if actually start time exactly equals stop time, I'm not sure why exactly, but it also was resulting in some losing on time kind of immediately. Well, not losing on time, but it was actually outputting the it called it like illegal move. It wasn't really illegal move. It just returned from alpha beta search before it managed to store at least a single move into the principal variation table. So in order to avoid that sort of behavior, we need to set this increment. I could have say stop. I could have just after this line, what we have eventually, like if start time is say equals to x, then stop time will be equal to x plus 1. So we have 1 millisecond. So that's the tiniest possible time to search for a move. And with this sort of stuff, it goes usually for kind of like maybe three plies, sometimes even 2 plies, or maybe 1 ply, but just it almost just goes very fast. Well, doesn't matter. Hope it's clear. So this line is needed just in order to avoid start time. This one equals to stop time, because if we have no increment, if we have no time, then kind of start time would be equal actually to stop time, because start time is just get time in milliseconds, and we have the same values. Well, this is like from my experiments basically. Okay, also I've added increment to show like what increment we have, to make sure that these adjustments to the increment are actually done. So this already allowed this has already allowed avoid losing on time. And by the way, quite pretty important to know that Vice actually does lose on time. So in order to try this, you can try set 0 seconds without increment, and try to ask Vice to play a game versus itself. It would immediately lose on time. So that's an issue. While BBC would now be playing kind of, maybe not always the entire game without any time, but still quite pretty. It would have played some interesting moves even. And you know, like engines like Stockfish obviously are capable of playing and made the entire game when no time is left at all. But that's completely different story. So this was regarding the timing. But what is even more interesting is the 50 rule move. So the idea is that by itself, the NNUE evaluation returns some value for, let's say, king and queen and king endgame. But when it returns that value, it doesn't actually take. It just returns like you're much better. But if the time is almost up and you can hit kind of deep plies, let's say you're a depth of 6 when time is almost up, you just miserable seconds are left on the clock. It's just not capable of seeing mate. So it actually just moving pieces back and forth, considering it's better, and it would be lasting forever. But adding so-called 50 rule move counter actually resolves this issue, and this is the reason why actually Vice did perform better compared to BBC while playing versus WISE 0.1, 1.0 with standard handcrafted evaluation as it was initially done by Bluefield software. So the idea is that within the search, if your engine sees kind of like, okay, so the 50 rule move counter is almost like 100 plies, which is equal to 50 moves. That means that doesn't matter how good I am at the moment. It doesn't matter how big score it is. If I'm not find the mate immediately, it means that it would be a draw, and that means when you're material up and having a draw means like losing basically. So engine would try to do everything to actually either to get rid of this. Either to reset this 50 rule move counter, which is possible by making a capture on board, or by pushing pawn. So those are two ways of how one can reset the 50 move rule counter. So you need to either make a pawn move or to make a capture. That's according to FIDE rules. And I have incremented that functionality in BBC today, and already this plays kind of much better chess in the end game. But that's not even the end of the story. Also, we can apply some fancy penalty for increasing the number of 50 rule move count. So the more counter, the more value they have in the counter, the bigger delay would be given to our engine. The bigger penalty would be given to our engine in the evaluation. So it would be understanding that moving pieces back and forth is a bad thing. So he would be trying to change his strategy and try to mate. So it doesn't yet work that fantastic, but at least it helps to avoid weird things like drawing the end games that are like king and queen versus king, or queen and rook versus king, or king and couple of rooks versus king. So things like that. So the next thing, I'm sorry I'm talking probably a little bit too much, but for me this is really so insightful. So I want to share this with you guys to avoid you falling into the same issues I've been into. So let's start by examining everything that regards the 50 rule move. Again, like I really didn't want to increment this for a long time because I don't know, just I didn't want that for some reason. Sometimes it happens, you just don't want doing something even though it's not hard compared to what you've done before. But anyway, so here along with the board variables, I've added another global variable which is called 50, and this 50 is actually a variable that is storing the counter, which is the counter storing the number of moves that are considered to be kind of populating this 50 rule move counter. So now a little bit of a theory of how this 50 move rule counter actually works. So it's very simple. So if you're making whatever move which is not a capture and which is not a pawn move, in this case, the 50 move rule counter is getting incremented. And when it reaches the number of 100, which means that 100 plies, or in other words, this kind of like 50 moves, hence the name, it actually returns the position is drawn, and returns the score of 0 in the search. That's kind of it, very simple. So now we will walk through all the places in the source code where this 50 rule move counter is getting involved basically. And again, like one of the benefits of having a single source file is that we can easily see every place this 50 move rule counter occurs. So let's go further on. First of all, in order to debug things to make sure they're working, I've added this print statement to print the variable of that represents the 50 rule move counter into the console when the board is printed. This is really handy for the debugging purposes. Sorry. Next thing to consider, which is also incredibly important. When we're resetting all of our board variables, we need to make sure that we're resetting our 50 move rule, 50 move counter as well. So just setting it to 0 every time, like you say in your game. Well, basically every time when we parse in a new FEN, this is happening. And if say we pass in like USI new game command from the USI, this the start FEN would be parsed, so this reset board would be fired anyway. So every time we're starting a new game, we just need to reset this counter, so set it equal to 0. Okay, so let's further on. Another important thing, when we're making a move and taking them back, you remember like we've been, so I've been using this macros to just copy the state of all the board states, and then when we're taking the move back, just restoring all the stuff back. And I've added this 50 copy variable to copy the state of 50 rule move counter, 50 move rule counter, and then I'm returning it back every time the move is taken back. So hope this is quite pretty clear. Next important point, the most essential part. So within the make move, what we are doing here. So here we've moved the piece, so this is a very basic functionality, and by default every time we're incrementing this 50 move rule counter by 1 right over in here. And then we have two conditions when we need to reset this. So if I'm referencing the piece that is extracted from the move integer itself, so we have the move integer as an argument in our make move function. So here I'm extracting the piece from it. If you're using some sort of array based board representation, you can just reference the board from square. So if there is a white pawn or a black pawn, that's exactly the same case like the condition I've written here. So if the piece that is moving is actually a pawn, then we're setting this 50 move rule counter to 0. And another occurrence is if we are dealing with the capture, it is the same. I'm just a little bit wondering. Probably I also need to reset that on the in-peasant capture as well. I'm not sure if I did that. Yeah. It seems like I didn't yet update this on the in-peasant capture. But as far as most likely the disaster happens actually in the end game, it's not really essential. I don't even remember if Vice actually has that 50 rule move counter resetting when the in-peasant capture is occurring. I don't remember. I was checking that, but well, you guys tell me. So if this is essential to actually reset the 50 move rule counter in when the in-peasant capture occurs, well, it works even without this. So well, I need to check this out. Maybe I will add this. Maybe not. I don't know at the moment. So anyway, and then and here we come to the very last. No, it's not yet the last. Basically, no, it's we didn't hit the search yet. So regarding the evaluation, let's go just step by step to make sure not missing anything. So here I'm just providing some sort of my snapshot of my experience. So we need to make sure that 50 rule move counter gives a penalty to the evaluation. Otherwise, it won't be capable of mating in simple endgames like king queen king or queen rook king. And this is the expression that is used, and this is taken from Stockfish. So Stockfish is the port of Stockfish to C programming language, for those of you who don't know that. So here is the section of when we deal with a pure NNUE evaluation. So it's still not really that pure. It still actually makes use of some material and also does some scaling, but this is not essential, so we can drop that. But this line is absolutely essential, and I've already sent this line to Jan Mitchell, who has created a much stronger engine than I did, named Plankton, if I'm not mistaken. And he reported that using this line actually makes much better sense to his engine as well. So the idea is 100 is the limit that we have is the limit that we have for this plies. So if 50 rule move counter equals to 100, it means that it's a draw, no matter how many material up we are. So we're subtracting the current value of the counter. So in my case, this is the 50 variable, this global variable, and then we just dividing this by 100 to scale the value appropriately. And when we have scaled the value, well, actually, I'm not really sure. I just thought at the moment. So maybe this scaling does it rely on this material scaling or no? But anyway, well, maybe I should try to play around with this scaling a little bit more as well. Maybe not. So still a great field for experiments. But anyway, the idea is that the greater this 50 rule move counter value is, the greater penalty we have for our evaluation. So the closer we are getting to this 50 rule move drawing position, the less our evaluation becomes. So just giving more penalty. So this is another incredibly important thing to consider. And yeah, this one is probably the very last one. So here we're actually looking for a threefold repetition, and here I've added the condition or if 50 rule counter is greater or equals 100. In this case, we just returning a 0. So this is the core essence of using actually this 50 rule move counter. So we're using this within the search. This is the Ningamax search. So I hope this is quite pretty clear. Sometimes people doing like within this is repetition, they're trying to subtract repetition index from 50 rule move counter or on the counter. I don't know, I tried that, but it just stopped recognizing the threefold repetition, so I just dropped that to keep the code simple and modular in terms of like just leave the threefold repetition alone and just try to deal with this 50 rule move counter separately. Probably that is just needed to slightly improve the performance, but again, like CodeMonkey again is for clarity, not for performance. So well, anyway guys, yeah, so and now we're just dropping back to initial definition. So I've just shown you all the core places we're dealing with our 50 move counter. Again, like this was a little bit too complicated for me when I just started chess programming. I was trying to avoid this, but today I realized that there is nothing, even to me, even to CodeMonkey King, there is no rocket science in 50 rule move counter. It's quite pretty trivial to implement. So I hope you won't be having any issues. And if you didn't yet implement the 50 rule move counter in your chess engine, please just do it now, because this is incredibly important. And if you don't do this, it would do a bad thing to you one day. Okay, not to you, to performance of your chess engine, obviously. Okay, so I think this is it regarding the source code. Yeah, and probably, I don't know, yeah, I just got excited by an idea of playing around with the scaling of 50 rule move based penalty to a chess engine. So I'm not sure how exactly am I supposed to be going for that, but well, at the moment scores that it is getting, it seems to be more or less just fine. But well, anyway guys, before we end this video, I would like to show you the games played by BBC Chess Engine versus Vice with this new improvements and updates I've just demonstrated. And probably even before that, I just want to show you one little thread here. Unfortunately, the chessboard is not that big here, but maybe I try to scale it a little bit. So here it is. So I was so upset yesterday, so I've created a new post, like any incredibly poor endgame performance, trying to ask the community like what's going wrong. But eventually, as this always happens, they didn't help me much, but Pedro Castro actually did, and he suggested me to just drop everything and just go and implement this 50 rule move counter, because he explained like why this is so important in the commentaries below the video. So I've realized that that is really important, and I just dropped everything and went and implemented this 50 rule move counter. Okay, so here I have a couple of games showing the issue itself. So just try to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, maybe I'm sorry for it's not that it's not seeing that. Oh my god, what have I done? Maybe it's not seeing that great, but anyway. So the game has started quite pretty nicely. I don't really want to go through the details. So the idea that is, well, BBC is playing white, I guess. Yeah, BBC is playing white probably, or no, BBC is playing black. Okay, let's have a look at this game where BBC is playing white. So the usual scenarios. So white is through the time is getting a significant advantage. Literally crushing through like it always do with NNUE. But when it comes to the deep end game, you see like we're coming to the end game, and for some reason he didn't even promote his pawn to a queen. He promoted it to the rook. What a weird stuff, right? And he didn't manage to mate. And you can't even imagine how depressed I was yesterday when I've seen this, because that's what was happening, and it just was lost. It was drawn due to the 50 rule move, and almost every single game in the match was ending like this. Just to give you an idea, the same disaster happened here when BBC was playing black, and eventually we came up to king, queen, and king and queen versus king endgame. Okay, so just as far as there were pawns, it was trying to do something, but here again, like 50 rule move draw. Can you believe this, guys? What a disaster, right? So again, like it was just moving back and forth, and like already right over in here, it's kind of, I don't know, it's made in two apparently. You just move, I don't know, move queen here, wait until king goes here, then just move king here, or queen here, and then just a couple more moves and it is maiden. But assuming that the time was almost up on the clock, it didn't really manage to hit that great depth, and he just couldn't see that checkmate, because you remember like NNUE actually is not that fast as a handcrafted evaluation. And even after I've added the compilation optimizations, yeah, by the way, until I forgot that, guys, let me show you this. So I have added this for, oh my god, I have added this for optimizations flag. So it's used for some processor related specific instructions just to calculate faster. Also, you could have had AVX2 if you have that available in your processor. And just to give you an idea, where did I take this flags from? Yeah, by the way, they are working with hold on a sec, just realized that probably I forgot to update the Windows version there. Oh my god, yeah, probably I forgot to update the Windows version, so it's still not capable of mating. So yeah, I just need to make sure to do this. Okay, I just want to do it now before I forgot. So just make, okay, yeah, I just need to update the executables in the release, and that's it. Yeah, by the way, it gets compiled with like gets cross compiled with this Minji W32 GCC. The 64-bit version Windows executable is great. It takes a little bit of a time, but it actually gets compiled at the very end. So you see it here. To give you an idea, where did I take this compilation flags? You already know that I've taken that from NNUE probe library by Daniel Chavel in his probe. I've been sharing this library numerous times already. So here in the source file and make file, and here they are. So this is where I took this optimization flex. Again, like on my computer, AVX2 doesn't work because probably the processor of my laptop just simply doesn't support the instructions for that. So I dropped them. But these guys are working. Not sure which one exactly in particular, but this is just working. Before I didn't manage to make them work because I didn't use this deuse flag. I don't know why I just tried to just write this once, and this wasn't really that great. But when I appended all the flags, it started working nicely. So now it's working quite pretty faster compared to how it was before. And also, yeah, by the way, also I did the same thing for Weiss. I just only need to add this 50 rule move penalty to Weiss's source code, but regarding the makefile, I've already updated that. So make sure to actually check that out. Display, yeah, I have updated this for both Windows and Linux versions. Yeah, I just need to compile this again, and probably I have the Weiss.exe file here. Yeah, but just I just need to update 50 rule move penalty in the evaluation just to make it play a bit stronger in the end game, and that's kind of it. Okay, guys, so you've just seen the games were played with no 50 rule move counter, and what a horrible results were there actually. But now let me just show you the results of the latest tournament played on my laptop today. So tournaments and this one. So you see like 9.5 versus 0.5, and the only draw is drawn by the stalemate. I'm tempted to see how that happened. We'll have a look at that just right in a moment. And here is Weiss playing BBC is playing black, Weiss is playing, BBC is playing white, Weiss is playing black. And what's wrong with? Okay, just I did something horribly wrong to the game. Yeah, probably. I don't know. Or hold on a sec. Oh no, it's not the real game. Yeah, this one is real. Okay, so this one was in the tournament. Okay, so several moves in the opening, and this knight takes d4 already computer move. So I just want to quickly go through the game. So like casual scenario, white is getting significant advantage and then crushingly winning in the end game. So just to give you an idea. Oh, by the way, with this 50 move rule counter, the game style also has changed slightly, because well, now it's more like trying to push pawns when available and trying to capture if available. So just to bear that in mind. So this is how it was going. And again, like it seems like the position is equal on material, right? We have 5 pawns versus 5 pawns, and material is absolutely equal. But you see, like NNUE gives an advantage of like almost a minor piece up here. So here it just sacrifices the rook. Well, it's not sacrificing the rook. It actually wins the pawn, wins 2 pawns. So enjoy this combination. So takes, and check, and takes the rook. So just 1-2 pawns, and now he has fantastically strong connected passed pawns on the king side, which would decide the entire game. So this is how it's going. Now it just exchanges everything without getting yeah, just exchanging just everything. Okay, so Weiss drops a bishop because no more sense actually to fight. Okay, and here is the execution. Okay, and very quick clean mate. So this 50 rule move counter really makes a miracle to BBC chess engine. Okay, let's have a look. So, well, obviously, unfortunately, not all the games are played in this nice style in the end game. There are some issues still. Do we have the number of moves being shown here? Time, C3 level. Yeah, probably we don't. Okay, just let's have a look. Some game where BBC is playing black. So let's see from BBC's perspective. Yeah. And this, nope. Yeah, this is the first move by Vice, and this is the first move by BBC. Okay. So again, the same stuff. By the way, the evaluation is about equal here. Even NNUE doesn't consider it to be much better. Well, it does consider it to be a bit better, but not significantly at the moment. Even here. But here, for some reason, it starts thinking that it's crushingly winning. So let's have a look from the human perspective. Just a pawn up, nothing much. Minor pieces are equal. Knight, knight versus bishop, queen. So doesn't seem to be that disastrous. Well, actually, here Vice considers to be about pawn down, which he is literally, because it's just literally a pawn down here. Yeah, but BBC with NNUE considers to be kind of like his rook up or something. So it sees some great positional advantage. So let's see how it was going. Okay. Yeah, just this pass pawn decides the game, and Vice sacrifices the queen to avoid black pawn from queening. Okay. Or it wasn't a queen sack, we just exchanged the queens. Yeah, I didn't even see that. Well, anyway, yeah, now he drops the knight. Okay. And this, and again, like, the matter of interest for us is how it would perform in the end game. So before this optimizations in regards to the 50 rule move counter, the most likely the scenario would be the following. So it would be just idling with the king, like moving it back and forth, and trying to check with the bishop, never-ending number of times, while not ever touching the pawns. But with this 50 rule move counter, not moving a pawns actually gives a penalty. So eventually it would be forced to start moving pawns, and this is happening. And when the pawn is close to the first rank, in this case, it's already kind of like, okay, and this is just made. So another clean mate, by the way. Okay, guys, so now let's watch the very last game that I didn't yet watch. So this draw by the stalemate, believe it or not. So BBC is playing black again. I'm really tempted to know what has happened in this game, basically, because, you know, like, okay, so we have the Sicilian defense. Okay, so yeah, I just enjoy this human play of BBC. It's really so nice. Typical position of, well, light square bishop in Sicilian. Okay, so what has happened here? Okay, already opening the file against the king on the king side. Exchanging the queens. Okay, going to the endgame. Okay. So this stalemate is very, very strange to me. So, by the way, have a look at the depth, guys. Just another improvement thanks to this optimization flags. So you see, like, BBC hits the depth of 11, Vice hits the depth of 12, but it's not kind of 2 or 3 plies difference. It's almost the same depth. assuming that NNUE evaluation is very heavy and I'm not using incremental updates for that. Okay, yeah, by the way, NNUE thinks it's slightly worse, and probably it is because it's pawn down and this pawn might be dangerous. Well, so actually I don't even think that a draw here in this position is bad, because yeah, actually Wise did a good job here, I must say. So maybe BBC made a stalemate to actually avoid losing. In this case, this would be just absolutely fantastic. So I'm really interested to see how this is happening. Yeah, probably assuming that BBC is actually worse here, he's trying to do everything to draw on 50 rule move, I believe. Yeah, you see, like, he wants to draw here. He wants to draw. Well, here even thinks to be slightly better, which is not true, obviously. But anyway, so you see, like, it's preventing pawn from moving anywhere. And if it gets a check, then it will just try to grab that pawn. So okay, and again, after pawn has moved, the 50 rule move counter has been resetted to 0 back, and we start counting another 50 moves here. But yeah, we see, like, the pawn is actually getting to queen, and I didn't see this game yet, but I think that probably BBC would sacrifice his rook somehow in order to actually force the stalemate. Well, at least in my dreams, that would be exactly like that. Okay. Yeah, now this is getting really dangerous, but yeah, I was thinking that this stalemate is something bad or some sort of a bug, but now I realize that actually this is probably the best thing possible. So how does it manage? Okay, so it's close to the end game. Okay, hold on a sec. How did Weiss allow the stalemate? How did it allow the stalemate? Probably it has seen the stalemate, or I don't know. Okay, and just takes, because nothing much here. Yeah, probably just in order to avoid the 50 rule draw move, it decided to capture, but capture actually led to the stalemate. Well, okay, guys, I'm very impressed by this game, but I'm impressed more than by any other game in this match, because, you know, like, this is the real masterpiece. Like, this is something that human player would actually do when preventing the H or A pawn from queening, just trying to go with his skin to the counter and try to force the stalemate. So this is really fantastic saving. Well, actually, White could have win this game because it was a pawn up, and well, I think, I don't know, probably if Weiss did use an NNUE here, maybe it could manage to win. Actually, I'm not sure. It should have, basically, because, you know, like, when you're rook up and rook and pawn, you know, like, you should win. Actually, Black had a rook as well, so that was a little bit not that easy to achieve. But anyway, this game is very exciting. I didn't even know that my engine is capable of doing this fantastic, brilliant endings, like just forcing the stalemate to avoid losing. This is very, very, very impressive for me, guys. Okay, so I think this is it from my side. I hope to come back with some sort of a new tutorials on this chess programming channel quite pretty soon. I just need to make my daily job a little bit, because I've spent the entire yesterday for actually fixing trying to figure out, like, why NNUE is not capable of playing well in the end game. And I went to sleep for about 4 a.m. in the morning yesterday, or maybe better to say today. Yeah, so I was really exhausted, and today in the morning I just read a commentary from Pedro Castro. Pedro, thank you so much for giving me that fantastic idea of just adding the 50 room of counter. Okay, so that really changed the behavior of a chess engine significantly. Well, okay guys, so this is it from my side. I hope to see you in the next videos of this chess programming channel. Until that time, and take care.